Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're covering a disturbing case that has left many reeling with shock and sadness. The tragic death of 6-year-old Corey Micah Gregor, allegedly at the hands of his own father, Christopher Gregor. Behind this heartbreaking story lies a series of chilling events that highlight failures in family protection, exposing the dark, terrifying side of Christopher Gregor. Today, we're diving deep into the details of this case and exploring the warning signs that tragically went unnoticed. Buckle up, because this is a story of betrayal, neglect, and the ultimate price paid by an innocent child. Who is Christopher Gregor? Christopher Gregor was an unassuming figure until his name became synonymous with one of the most harrowing cases of child abuse in recent years. A man with no significant fame or public standing, Gregor was largely unknown outside his personal circles before the tragic events unfolded. From the outside, Gregor may have seemed like any other parent, but behind closed doors, a darker, more violent side of him emerged. Corey, his young son, tragically bore the brunt of this darkness. While little is known about Gregor's background in the public domain, his actions have painted the picture of a man capable of unimaginable cruelty. His relationship with Corey's mother had been fraught with tension, and there were documented concerns about his behavior long before the final, devastating event that took Corey's life. The tragic incident, what happened to Corey Gregor? The nightmare began on an ordinary day when young Corey was found unresponsive after being forced to run on a treadmill as a form of punishment. According to reports, this horrific punishment was just one example of the abuse Corey experienced at the hands of his father. Gregor allegedly forced Corey onto the treadmill and made him run for an extended period until his small body could not handle it anymore. His fragile 6-year-old body collapsed from exhaustion and trauma, leading to his untimely death. This incident took place in July 2021 in New Jersey, and though the initial details were shrouded in confusion, it soon became clear that this was no accident. Emergency responders were called, and Corey was rushed to the hospital. Sadly, it was too late. The boy had suffered extensive injuries, and despite the best efforts of medical professionals, Corey's life could not be saved. In the weeks that followed, the grim truth behind what had transpired became known. Christopher Gregor, the person meant to protect Corey, was directly responsible for his death. The abuse, a pattern of violence and neglect. What makes Corey's tragic death even more disturbing is that it wasn't the first time Gregor had inflicted harm upon his son. It would later emerge that there had been a pattern of abusive behavior, with Corey suffering under his father's cruelty long before the fatal treadmill incident. Court documents and witness testimonies revealed a troubling picture of physical and emotional abuse, with Gregor reportedly subjecting Corey to harsh discipline methods that were completely inappropriate for a child. Corey's mother had reportedly raised concerns about Gregor's behavior on numerous occasions, yet the signs were tragically ignored or overlooked by authorities. In fact, just months before Corey's death, video footage surfaced showing Christopher Gregor abusing his son. The footage, captured on security cameras, showed Gregor violently shoving Corey to the ground inside a gym, an incident that took place in 2021. Despite the evidence, Gregor was only charged with endangering the welfare of a child at the time, and Corey was allowed to remain in his father's care. This failure to act decisively where the signs of abuse were clear led directly to Corey's tragic death. The legal battle. Christopher Gregor's arrest and charges. In the wake of Corey's death, the legal system was forced to act. Christopher Gregor was arrested and initially charged with child endangerment, but the charges were later upgraded to murder as the investigation unfolded. The authorities alleged that Gregor had caused Corey's death through a combination of neglect and intentional harm, accusing him of not only forcing his son to run on the treadmill, but also of failing to seek medical help when Corey became unresponsive. The case garnered widespread media attention, sparking outrage and calls for justice from both the local community and beyond. People were horrified by the idea that a father could be capable of such cruelty towards his own child, and many questioned how the system had failed to protect Corey. Prosecutors argued that Gregor's actions demonstrated a reckless disregard for human life, and that his abuse of Corey had been a continuous pattern leading up to the fatal incident. Gregory, on the other hand, pleaded not guilty and attempted to deflect blame, but the evidence against him was damning. Not only was there the video footage of earlier abuse, but there were also multiple reports of Gregor's violent tendencies and emotional manipulation within the household. The system's failure. Could Corey's death have been prevented? One of the most heartbreaking aspects of this case is that Corey's death might have been prevented if the signs of abuse had been taken more seriously. His mother had reportedly filed complaints against Gregory, and there had been repeated warnings about his violent behavior. Despite these red flags, the authorities allowed Corey to remain in Gregor's custody, a decision that would ultimately prove fatal. This case raises serious questions about how domestic abuse and child welfare cases are handled. How many times does a parent need to raise concerns before action is taken? Why wasn't more done after the gym incident when clear evidence of abuse was captured on camera? These are just some of the many questions that Corey's family and the public are left grappling with in the aftermath of his death. The system's failure to intervene highlights broader issues within child protective services and the legal structures meant to protect vulnerable children. Corey's story is not an isolated one. Many children in abusive households are left unprotected by the very systems designed to safeguard them. The aftermath, a community in mourning. The death of Corey Gregory sent shockwaves through his community. Vigils were held in his honor, with friends, family members, and concerned citizens gathering to mourn the loss of a young life that had been cut tragically short. The grief was palpable, as people struggled to come to terms with the fact that this innocent child had been taken from them in such a brutal manner. For Corey's mother, the pain was unimaginable. She had fought to protect her son, raising concerns about Gregory's behavior, yet her pleas went unanswered. In interviews, she has spoken about the anguish of losing Corey and the guilt she feels despite doing everything she could to bring attention to his father's abuse. The public outcry in response to this case has also reignited conversations about child abuse and the responsibilities of authorities to act swiftly when allegations of mistreatment arise. Many have called for reforms to child welfare laws, advocating for better oversight and more immediate intervention when a child is at risk. The trial and verdict. As of now, Christopher Gregor is awaiting trial for the murder of his son. The legal proceedings will undoubtedly be a painful process for all involved, but they also represent an opportunity for justice to be served. If convicted, Gregory faces a lengthy prison sentence, which will bring some closure to those who love Corey and have been fighting for justice on his behalf. However, no sentence can undo the harm that has been done, and Corey's family will never be able to fill the void left by his tragic death. This case serves as a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance when it comes to protecting vulnerable children and the devastating consequences that can arise when warning signs are ignored. Remembering Corey Gregory. As we wrap up today's video, it's important to remember that at the heart of this tragedy is a young boy who deserved so much more from the world. Corey Gregory was just 6 years old, with a future ahead of him that was stolen away by the person who should have loved him the most. His story is a painful one, but it's also a call to action for all of us. We must do better when it comes to protecting children from abuse, and we must demand more from the systems that are supposed to keep them safe. Thank you for joining us as we explore the tragic case of Christopher Gregory and the loss of his innocent son Corey. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into important cases like this one. And as always, let's keep asking the tough questions and seeking justice for those who can no longer speak for themselves. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and take care.